what injustices have you experienced as a woman, or have you witnessed other women experiencing?
Um, so when I was interviewing for a job, I learned after the fact that uh, there was at least one male attorney who didn't want to hire me because of where I shop. I might be in Mepperdonica or that, but I used to work there. So, and because I've always loved horses and because I rode horses. And so it was, oh, well, she's going to have babies and stay home. She's not going to be here long term. So I was floored when I found that out. I mean, luckily they hired me, and I worked my entire maternity. It wasn't even maternity, but I worked at home like the whole time until my daughter was 6 weeks old to go to daycare. So my kids are in daycare, and you come home, you see them, you give them dinner, you give them a bath, put them to bed, and then you work until, especially if I was a trial, you work until 1 or 2 in the morning, and you get up and you do it all over again. And so I proved them wrong. I'm glad that for the most part, I don't think women have prove them wrong, and that that you are fully entitled to take your maternity leave or take FMLA, and men are too. They get parental leave and FMLA. So I think it's a better balance for everyone. It doesn't mean that you aren't expected to work twice as hard, because I think there's still a bit of that standard out there. Two other things: when I was on when I had my first child, I had litigated a case of first impression involving it's out the public, so it's involving Dr. Bayless and Wellspan. Sorry, Amy, Wellspan, and preserving and denying Wellspan's injunction so that Dr. Bayless could practice maternal fetal medicine, which is a high risk pregnancy specialist for Lancaster General Hospital, because they did not have a maternal fetal medicine specialist with the higher population of Hispanic and Amish. They truly needed a high-risk pregnancy doctor. So my superior court brief was due on my maternity leave, and some of my male colleagues said, "Oh, we need to hire a lawyer to come in and write that brief." And I was like, "Hey, I'm litigated the case. Are you kidding me? I wrote the brief, and you won." So that was the second injustice. And and then and again, like, these pale in comparison to what women before us have gone through, but still, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, it's kind of shocking to me. The other thing that stands out in my mind is that after I had my kids and I was in the corner office and I was working hard, a male partner came in and said, "I really like you because you practice law like a man." I was floored. I was like, "Okay, all right. What do I was like, thanks." I didn't even know what to say. I was speechless. So I think, you be true to you. My style wasn't to get aggressive and challenge that. I sort of tucked it away and found ways to you know, and get my point across at a later date and time, if you will, in a way that wasn't threatening, but also made it clear that that's not okay. Like, we should be judged on our merit. And I think in the end, perhaps some views were changed. I don't know, but it doesn't matter, because what matters is, are you happy? Do you have the support that you need? Are you achieving your goals? Do you and don't hesitate to ask for support, right? Like, it's really hard raising little kids. Like, I never want to go back to those days again. As so sweet and loving as they are, it's tough work. Just make sure, like, my parents and my husband's parents were a godsend. Make sure that you have family support, especially too if you're dealing with older parents. Make sure that you have some support. Like, we can't do it alone, even though we think that we have to. We're not alone. So, yep.
Can I just comment quickly? Some little injustices. I can remember when I was a young lawyer, there was a judge who refused to allow women in the courtroom wearing pants. So there were judges who wouldn't call you by attorney
Or by your married name.
or by your married name.
Or by your maiden name. If you kept your maiden name, they wouldn't call you by your married name. They would only call you by your married.
There was once an MDJ I appeared in front of, not anybody current, don't worry, who referred to me. He said to the defendant, "Just go ask that pretty young lady in the red dress." Not go ask that attorney if you couldn't remember my name, go ask Miss Cook, nothing, just that pretty lady in the red dress. Just little big things. And I don't think we're completely there yet is the distinction in salaries among women versus males. I'd like to think we've come a long way, but I don't know that we've come all the way.
Could I just add that when we talk about what's happened to women over the years and how women have coped with all of these challenges, I think we tend to get the impression that it's us versus them, it's women versus men. And it's not that at all. I mean, when you look at the women who are succeeding in many cases, I'd say in most cases, it's because they have help and mentors who are women and men. And I was fortunate throughout my career to have a male professor who took an interest in me and made me his research assistant, a male boss in my first job at US Steel who recognized something in me and encouraged me. So the goal of all this is to come together and realize that men and women work together and help each other.
I have a lot of stories, but I picked my best one. So my basically very first day of practicing and like covering a hearing, I was very excited because I was a newly minted lawyer, and I was sitting in the waiting room of the York County Prison because that's where the immigration court was, and I'm just there scrolling on my phone and waiting until they opened the doors for the hearing, and some man, and I wish I knew who it was, came behind me and said, "Ma'am, court interpreters are not allowed on their phones." And so it goes back to what you said, of course, about women being anything but lawyers, but there's, of course, the added element that I was a Hispanic woman in a suit. And so while I probably wasn't there to see an inmate, I was, of course, not a lawyer.